Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session that was created for a client that would find themselves in a state of inertia. They would take on projects, they would agree to things, but then they would feel very, very difficult to get into the state of doing what needed to be done. And this is all about creating certain behavioral triggers, certain new beliefs, but also time management techniques that enable a clear, productive block of time to enable things to actually get done. Because quite often people get into a state where they know what needs to be done, but they find themselves checking emails, going back and forth, and actually they feel like they're being busy because they're kind of doing work, but nothing really gets done in that time. And this is about something entirely different. It's about clearing everything so that just the very important thing that needs to be done is focused on and nothing else. And this client liked the idea of wearing a lab coat, because in their industry, certain designers would wear lab coats when they're working with certain garments. So that's why the lab coat is mentioned rather than that they're a scientist. The lab coat, the watch, the headphones gets them in a particular state. And the timer comes from something called the Pomodoro technique. It's a time management technique where actually if you set the original Pomodoro is for 20 minutes. It's called a Pomodoro because it was a timer set for making pasta that looked like a tomato. And Pomodoro is Italian for tomato. So that's where the time management technique comes from. And it works on the basis of doing two things. One, you're saying that you can't possibly get everything done in that 20 minutes or perhaps 40-minute block, but you can get a lot of progress made if you just dedicate that time to doing the thing. So it manages your own expectations. It doesn't feel too daunting that you've got this never-ending task to do, because you're saying, right, you're just going to do it for, let's say, 20 or 40 minutes. But it also breaks inertia and builds momentum. A lot of people, when they use this technique, and I use this technique a lot myself, I've got, if you've seen my YouTube videos, you'll see there's glass sand timers in the background. They're not just props, I actually use them, and I have them for all different time frames. I have one for 15 minutes, one for 30 minutes, and one for 45 minutes. And if there's something I need to get done and I know I'm procrastinating, I just get everything ready, I turn the glass sand timer over, and then I just focus on that thing. And quite often, I can't finish it within the time frame, but if I'm making so much progress, I just continue until it's done anyway. But if you've got a big project like writing a book or, something that's going to take weeks and weeks, it still works to block out these time chunks, because there's a saying, and they use it for kids when children are worried about something too challenging. They say, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. And a big task is inevitably going to be built up of lots of small accomplishments. So you've got all of this time management techniques and mindset strategy in this session, and it's all designed to create a space where you can actually get things done. Now, for this client, it was a workstation, it was a studio. For you, it might be a desk or a different workspace. If you're a creative, it might be an art studio. If you're a chef, it might be a kitchen. But I want you to think of the space where you would actually create your work and just replace that in here. Equally, it might not be a lab coat and headphones, it might be certain other props. And this is a ritual to get you into that state. So this was for the client, but you can change it to make it more suitable and relevant for you. And if you like the idea of having a bespoke session or working with me directly, in the description in the show notes, you can actually see a link to book a free 30-minute consultation call to explore working with me. So certainly feel free to check that out. For now though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation, and as you exhale slowly, just allow your eyelids to close, and as they close, feel that in this moment you are entering a transition. Consider it a bridge from one version of you into the version of you that really gets things done. And you don't have to try to relax. Just notice the breath entering your body and leaving again. Inhale and exhale. And with each breath, you settle deeper into your focused self. I want you to get a sense of scanning your body for any clues of tension, stress, or worries. And just feel that when you're breathing in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just feel those echoes of tension, procrastination or hesitation starting to leave your body in your outward breath. That's it. Because you've been in a cycle for too long. Certain things where you've thought of them felt fine at the time, but when you took on that commitment, it led to feelings of stress. And then that meant that you procrastinated. And you procrastinated long enough until you came to the conclusion that it's just not worth doing anymore. And how many times does this story have to play out? Doors closed, reputation with certain individuals damaged. I want you to get a feeling that enough is enough. You are done with that version of you, and you are eager and open to activating that new version of you, a version of you that is able, willing, and determined to get done whatever needs to be done. So I'd like you to use the power of your imagination and imagine this space where you normally attempt to get work done. Only this time, in your mind, I want you to imagine preparing this space organizing perhaps your workstation, your studio, making sure everything's clean, organized, ready. Before the work gets even started, you are organizing your space to minimize distractions and clutter and make it the kind of space that you would feel that you want to work in. And as you imagine organizing your space, just imagine your headphones nearby in the exact style and color that they are. But I also want you to notice a lab coat, either folded or hanging, waiting for you, like a symbol of your creative power, a uniform that puts you in work mode and enables you to check yourself in at the door. Only that productive, focused version of you gets to wear the lab coat, the headphones, and perhaps a watch that means something to you. But as you look around this space, I also want you to see a particular timer. And perhaps you see yourself setting that timer to maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or 40 minutes. Imagine what that would look like. You set the timer, but you do not start the timer. Not until your space is clean, you're wearing the lab coat, you're wearing the headphones, playing whatever music would get you into that state. And only when all of those things are true and you're wearing that watch, then you start the timer. But even the ritual of wearing these things, seeing them, I want you to feel something shifting inside. A kind of check-in. Kind of like entering a theatre or stepping onto a stage, where you become the version of yourself who delivers, who finishes, who follows through. So now imagine putting on the lab coat. Maybe you can see yourself in a full-length mirror and you see yourself wearing the lab coat, knowing that your workspace is tidy. And whether it's a button or a zip, the very process of putting on the lab coat and making sure that you feel comfortable in it locks in clarity, focus, and presence. This isn't a costume. It's now a signal to your unconscious mind that it's time to create, to execute, to move. And then imagine putting on your headphones, and it's almost like the outside world fades away. All noise, all distractions disappear. It's just you, the task, whatever music you're playing, creating a quiet, sharp focus. And then imagine seeing your timer that's all ready to set. And I want you to imagine this, the very time that you press the start button. This is your zone. You will not tolerate any interruptions or distractions. Everything can wait until after whatever timer you've set for is finished. This is the moment you begin. You focus entirely like a laser beam on whatever the work is at hand. Not later, not someday, but now. And you are no longer the version of you that overthinks. You're not frozen, you're flowing. So as you imagine pressing the start button on the timer, wearing your headphones, your lab coat, your watch, I want you to feel that you are in a laser beam focused state to do whatever needs to be done. And imagine doing that Whatever work perhaps represents the very next thing that you need to do. And as you imagine doing your work, focused, I will give you suggestions. Allow these suggestions to be like seeds being planted in your subconscious mind, or commands to your unconscious, enabling you to not even think about these, but just allowing your subconscious mind to accept them, knowing that they will make you more productive, more focused, and more accomplished. Because from this point onwards, every time you prepare your space and prepare any materials or things you will need to do the particular thing that you need to do, you are also preparing your mind. And the moment you wear your lab coat, you enter a state of creative authority. And when you press start on your timer, you lock into a productivity state of mind. And all the tools you've chosen, the headphones, the coat, the watch and the timer, are like a ritual, helping you enter flow quickly and easily. And the more often it works, then the more often it will work again in the future, as you are building powerful associations and anchors with a resourceful state. Because you honor your time by using it intentionally and powerfully. Deadlines are not pressure. They are portals into the next version of you. And you no longer delay. In fact, you look for opportunities to begin as soon as you can. And don't be surprised if the momentum that comes from that is what carries you forward. Because fear of success dissolves when you remember that you deserve this life and all of the opportunities that comes with it. Because you can do hard things, and you choose to start even when it's uncomfortable. In fact, if it's uncomfortable, then it's an even bigger breakthrough when you put on that lab coat and start that timer and just work, because you are breaking old patterns. You don't have to feel motivated to begin. Showing up creates the motivation. And the more you complete, the more confident you feel in your ability. You're not invisible. You are impactful, and your work matters. I want you to get a sense that the timer isn't because you're expecting to do everything in whatever the timer is set for. It's just part of a Pomodoro process. Because when you focus in short bursts, it breaks inertia, builds momentum, and makes every session of productivity winnable. You no longer chase perfection. You pursue progress. Accept this command like it's written in stone in your subconscious mind. You finish what you start. You honor your commitments, and that gives you a powerful edge. Feel each suggestion rooting itself deeper and deeper into your subconscious mind, becoming part of your identity, unleashing a desire for that next session of productivity. And perhaps you could imagine a day, maybe even tomorrow. You've set the environment, you know what needs to be done, the space is ready, and you slide on the coat, the headphones, you put your watch on, set the timer, and then you start the timer. The task you once resisted, done. I want you to get a sense that whatever it needs to be done is getting done. Complete, sent, followed. Whatever you need to do, feel how good it would be to do it. And you flow from one block of work to another. Blocks of productivity, and then a break. Another block of productivity, and then a break, knowing that the next time you start, you have more momentum each time, as each block reinforces the rhythm. And there is no panic, no doubt, only presence. You feel something even more valuable than confidence, that the more you do this, the more able you are to trust in yourself. That when you say you will do something, you will do it. If you agree to a deadline, it's because you will do whatever it takes to make that deadline. And then when the work is done, there's a feeling of pride. Not because you finished it perfectly, but because you showed up, you followed through. You became the kind of person that is building a reputation of someone that delivers. And from this moment forward, whenever you want to enter this state, you can. It only takes the ritual, the coat, the headphones, the watch, the timer, and then focused activity. And now your unconscious mind locks in this pathway, from preparation to presence, from hesitation to execution, from fear to flow. You don't need to force it. You just need to begin. And I want you to imagine going forward a year from now, a year of living this way. How many more opportunities have come your way? And there is a saying, if you need something done, give it to someone that's extremely busy. I want you to get a sense that a year from now you will have built a reputation of someone that is a doer, that gets things done. You will move whatever needs to be moved to manifest whatever needs to be manifest. And I want you to get a sense that there is more opportunities, a more powerful reputation connected to you, but also a cause and effect relationship. All of those projects that happened in the past, some of them will have had a ripple effect to influence your future. Maybe that's career success, business success, financial success, reputational success. Just observe that a year from now, that is what you can expect, just by building a ritual to enter a flow state. It's time to leave this place, but you leave this place with a new strategy, a new mindset. You no longer fear success because you know that it's all optional. When doors of opportunity open, you get to choose whether or not you walk through. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Connect and calibrate into the here and the now, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.